Hello everyone! Today we're going to start on some color mixing. We've been learning about primary colors and what colors do when we add white or black to them. So to get set up, you'll need a smock, a placemat, and your name on the back of your very big piece of paper. Using a large brush today and our tray of yellow, blue, white, and black paint, you are going to mix a whole bunch of different types of green. So I recommend starting with yellow because you will need more yellow paint and less blue paint to make green. Yellow is not as strong as the blue. The blue can be kind of overwhelming. So using your big brush and some big strokes, you might have to hold your paper in place. You're just going to go back and forth over the whole piece of paper. And you're doing all of your mixing on the paper. We don't mix the paint in the paint tray because then we're only going to get one type of green. And our goal is to get a bunch of different shades of green. So you can see I'm using a little bit of black or a little bit of white. I have some more yellow greens or blue greens. And this piece of paper is going to be later turned into trees. So you might want to think about how your overall look is going to affect your design. You can also use these cool scraper tools to add a little bit of texture. I'm just adding texture a little bit all over, just so that way I have some good amount of design for my tree paper. When you're done, put the entire thing on the drying rack and wash your brush. Day 2, we are back. For our second piece of big paper, still need your smock, placemat, and name on the back. And we're also using another big paintbrush. You're going to decide where is the horizon line. How far down does your sky go? Is that horizon line straight, curved, wavy? Totally up to you. It's your world. Now I'm going to turn my paper upside down. Yes, I know it looks the same, but I'm going to leave the snow white, and so I turn the white part away from me. And using my big brush and my big side-to-side horizontal strokes, we're going to paint some sky color. Now you could just use blues, light blue mixed with dark blue. You could use blues going into purples. Mrs. Belzer for this one is using some pinks. And when my brush starts to get a little dry, I'm going to get my second color, which is purple. And when I blend back and forth, I can get that pink and purple to blend into each other evenly. If you get a little bit too much extra paint, you can just wipe it off on your placemat. After my purple, my third color is going to be blue. And I'm doing that same treatment, just continuing to brush side to side. Remember, the other part of your paper is the snow on the ground. There we go. All right, put it on the drying rack when you're done and wash your brush. For the next step, you'll need a smaller piece of paper. Write your name on the back, and we're going to begin drawing our foxes. You'll have a handout to decide what style of fox you want to make, but overall, all of the foxes are going to have a triangle-shaped head. So you could draw a triangle shape, and you want to think about maybe making it a little curvier on the corners. Once you get a shape you are happy with, you can add the next part of the detail, which will be a round nose, 2 curved shapes on either side for like the cheek area. Try your best to make them about the same size. And then you can move on up the paper and work on ears. The fox ears are also triangular, and they're going to be coming out of the top of the head. Feel free to kind of organize your ears differently. Maybe your fox is going to have your ears tilted up or out to the side a little bit, depending upon how they're feeling. We'll have a handout, like I mentioned. You can do a different position for your fox. So this fox is going to be standing up straight and has a tail curled around its body. We're adding 2 more curved lines to the ears, and I'm going to add an extra line towards the tip because I'm going to make the very tippy top of my fox's ears black. I'm skipping down to the bottom. Before I draw the body, I'm going to draw a big curve line. And this is going to be the start of the tail. So the tail is going to have a point and be rounded on the other side. Almost looks like a bird body. That zigzag line is going to show where the white part of the tip of the tail goes. And then just 2 side lines for the body. I'm just darkening my fox up a little bit more because it was a little sketchy at first. Can erase any extra marks. To paint, you'll need your smock placemat and brushes again. And we have a variety of oranges. We have a regular orange, a yellow orange, and a red orange. Could also use a little pink. That small section at the tip, I'm going to leave black. I'm just painting the skinny section with kind of a skinny brush right there. That will be the orange part, and I'm going to leave the biggest shape of the ears white. When you're painting, we're just trying to stay on the tippy toes of the brush, using nice strokes. You can go a little off the edge because we will cut the fox out, but just try to not get paint into the areas that you want to stay white. So like the little cheeks we want to stay white, those big shapes in the ears, and then the tip of the tail. So you have to paint a little slower around those tricky parts, and you can paint a little faster when you get to the middle. After you've painted your fox, you might want to think about going back in with a different shade of orange. So I'm going to wipe a little bit of the extra orange off on my paper. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of that yellow orange. And I'm using shorter brush strokes, which are going to add a little bit of a texture onto my fox. It's a little tricky to see just because that color is so much lighter. You could use that color and paint the whole fox that light orange. After I'm done working on the head, I'm going to add a little bit of that lightness color to the tail. And then I might think about adding some dark reddish orange for some of the areas that might be more shadowy. Wipe your brush when you're changing colors, helps keep our color box clean. And this is that red orange. It's pretty deep. It almost looks like orange itself. But you can see as I'm speeding through here, using short brush strokes, adding a little shadow, like under the chin might have a little more shadow, towards the base of the tail. It makes your animal look just a little bit more interesting when it's got more than one color. When you're done with this step, make sure you wash your brush, put your fox on the drying rack. When your fox is dry, you can trace it with Sharpie and then cut it out carefully. All right, so we have our fox cut out and ready, our background dry, and now we're going to address the trees. So we're going to get our tree paper, turn our paper over, and using a pencil, we'll draw some long diagonal lines because we want to make some triangle shape evergreen trees. We're going to turn the paper the tall way and start our diagonal lines at the top so that we can get a really big tree. You can always cut your tree down smaller if it ends up being too large. Carefully cut out your first tree, and then notice how I'm going to have room if I'm planning out my space. I can just continue. I already have one diagonal line. Notice then I use that one and I draw a second diagonal line so I can get a second super tall tree. And see those super fun textures. All right. I would recommend playing with your pieces to see how you like the fit before we even think about getting glue. So you might want to try how it looks with your trees a little lower, or if you want to push those trees up a little taller towards the top of the horizon line. I decided I wanted a variety of trees, so I'm kind of changing the shape of some of mine and then rearranging them a little bit and even adding a smaller fourth tree. Notice how the ones in the background are getting tucked behind them. Once you are satisfied, it is time to glue. We are using the white school glue, and it's very much the dot, dot, not a lot. We don't want a lot of extra glue oozing out when we're sticking these on. So following the shape of the tree, do dots all the way around. Once you got all the way around the shape, flip it over and use both hands to press and hold that down. These are big shapes that we're gluing. You really need to make sure that all of the edges are going to stay down flat. Continue this step with all of your items. Notice I'm going to flip my paper over and I'm using a flat hand and rubbing. Just another way to help make sure everything is getting adhered correctly. Any glue that gets on your hands, just rub your fingers together. A couple of my trees stick out over the edge, so just going to trim the extra off, making sure that I'm not trimming into the rectangle part of the background paper. The final thing I'm going to do is glue my fox in. So I'm kind of deciding, do I want my fox a little bit to the left or to the right or in the center? And I decided to put her a little bit off center. Rub to smooth, and then your project is complete. Thanks so much.